Hello everyone, my name is Jaybird and welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon. Without any further ado, let's get right back to where we left off last time, which would be right here. I did not get the chance to discuss Rod's curse with him later that night, nor did I get the chance to speak with Parfait and Delora about my suspicions of Sir Alcester. Days go by, but still I find myself overwhelmed by preparations for the ball. Things become more frantic every day, making it difficult for me to have any time to speak with anyone. Eventually, I decide to write a letter containing my suspicions of Sir Alcester. I tell Parfait and Delora that I believe he might be the witch they are looking for. I also add that I believe Fritz might somehow be involved, though my suspicions are not as well founded with him. To make matters worse, he went and disappeared. I have not heard anyone mention his name here for a very long time. I am forcefully pulled from my thoughts when I collide with someone. The linens I had been folding scatter over the floor. Excuse me, I do not... I look up and my voice trails off when I see who I bumped into. Is it gonna be Fritz? Oh, it's gonna be Sir Mithras. Never mind. Lost in your thoughts. Sir Mithras looks at me, something veiled in his smiling eyes. I suppose those are the lilies the queen asked for? Yes, please excuse me. I begin gathering up the linens, but as I reach out for one, Sir Mithras picks it up first. Allow me to help you. I will be fine. But this was partially my fault. Let me assist you. I bite my lip and do not protest as Sir Mithras helps me gather the rest of the linens. I'm contemplating my schedule for the rest of the day when I realize that Sir Mithras has been talking. I don't suppose you have any idea on who that maid is? Maid? There's a cold amusement in Sir Mithras' gaze. Surely you've heard the rumor of the young prince having been seen with a royal maid somewhere around town. Rumor has it that Prince Rod has found love among the common folk, much like his royal stepfather has. Rod with a maid? As far as I'm aware, the only maid he has been out in town with has been... I freeze as Sir Mithras straightens, patting down his clothes for dust before holding out some of the linens to me. If it is true, I wish him the best, though I wish he would be more discreet about it. A royal scandal is the last thing we need right now. I shakily take the linens from Sir Mithras as he inclines his head to me. Have a good day, Jaybird. Oh no! I walk to the dining hall in a haze, my mind whirling with the implications of what Sir Mithras just said. I'm sure it was those noble women who spread this rumor. Jaybird, thank you for bringing these to me. Just leave them on the table. I curtsy after placing the linens down as commanded. If that is all... Jaybird. I straighten at the tone of Ophelia's voice. When I look up, I see that her expression is carefully still. I am about to ask you something that you might not want to answer, but I very much hope you will. I will answer if I can. Good. Ophelia sighs as she sits down on one of the dining table chairs and folds her hands on her lap. I have been trying to ignore it since palace gossip is mostly false, but I can't help my curiosity. I wanted to ask about your relationship with my son. What? I understand you and Rod were out together in town a few days ago. Do you want to tell me what happened? Dismiss the gossip, explain the situation. I'm supposed to explain the situation. Apparently. Yep. Alright, I'll explain the situation. If Ophelia is asking me about these rumors, then I can only imagine what sort of story those women made up. Prince Rod was just on his way somewhere when he chanced upon me. When he saw that I was in trouble with two noble women, he stopped to intervene. That is all. Rod said the same thing. Then why did you ask me, Your Majesty? To see what you thought about the situation. I don't think anyone should get a say in what your relationship with Rod is. My relationship with Rod? That means we got it right. I like you, J-Bud, and I'm certain that you're good for Rod. If I had my way, I would let him court you. Ophelia! He is my brother! My stepbrother! Sure, we're not related by blood or anything, and so it wouldn't really technically be considered incest, but it is tad weird. Not gonna lie. Yep. Oh no. I feel heat in my cheeks as I trip over my words. The prince and I are not in a relationship. A member of the royal family cannot end up with a servant. Where there's love, there's hope. Social status shouldn't stop you from being happy, J-Bud. Then what about the fact that I am Rod's stepsister? Ah! I bite down on that statement fiercely. I already know what role I am playing here, and I cannot break it. Ophelia looks at me with a complicated expression before she sighs. I will not push you on this any further. But be careful, J-Bud. Your closeness with my son and daughter has not gone unnoticed. I do not believe in limiting relationships because of one's status, but I understand. I curtsy as I move toward the dining hall's entrance. What did Ophelia mean by that closeness not going unnoticed? Later that day, as I am waiting outside the throne room for Emmeline to finish one of her classes, two maids walk toward me and stop in front of me.
J-Bird, isn't it?
Oh fuck.
J-Bird, isn't it?
What is it? I have already finished all of my tasks for the day.
Oh, I'm sure you have. Probably rushed through all of them so that you can hang around the prince and princess tonight. The head housekeeper's been giving you a lighter load so you can afford the time to play around,
I blink at them, confused. I have no idea what you are talking about.
Don't play dumb. All the servants know what you've been doing. Just because you're Princess Emmeline's personal maid doesn't make you better than the rest of us. I'd be careful not to get too big for your boots, J-Bird.
Are you threatening me?
What if we are?
Then I'd be very disappointed in you. Oh!
And I'd be very disappointed in you.
I'm sorry.
Princess Emmeline.
Emmeline moves to stand beside me, a disapproving expression on her face.
I do not expect such petty cruelty from the two of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Your Highness.
You really do have a talent for getting yourself into trouble. Rod pauses briefly, his eyes meeting mine for a second before he looks at the maids. Don't you have better things to do than to bully my sister's maid?
We apologize, Your Highness. We'll be on our way.
The two maids run off. Emmeline turns to look at me.
Are you okay?
I'm about to answer when I notice that Rod is abruptly walking away from us. I fronted his back. He had only just started being nice to me, and now he is back to acting as if I do not exist. What did I do? Emmeline puts her hands on my back and gently pushes me forward.
You wanted to ask him something, right? I could see it in your eyes.
Emmeline smiles as she pushes the door to the throne room open.
I have a few more questions to ask my teacher. I'll be a while.
But she disappears into the throne room before I can finish. I glanced down the hallway. Rod just disappeared down, and then back at the throne room. My thoughts rolled together in a vague mess until I make my decision. Wait! At the sound of my approaching footsteps, Rod turns and looks at me. He scowls but does not say anything. Say nothing, tell him off for his behavior. I'm supposed to tell him off for his behavior. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I feel kind of bad, but I have to do it. That's what that told me. The words spill out of me before I can even think on them. What have I done now to make you angry with me? Nothing. He turns away and I glare as I follow closely behind him. You expect me to believe that? You can at least look at me when I am talking to you. I reach out a hand to his elbow and pull him back so that he is facing me. Rod! But the words die in my throat when I see the expression on his face. Ah! I'm sorry. What? Excuse me, what? I'm sorry? His face is red and he refuses to look me in the eye. My surprise causes me to release him. Rod quickly turns around and begins to walk away. I am left to stare dumbly after him. What is wrong with him? Normally he is not so afraid to speak his mind. I frown as I feel a dull ache throbbing somewhere deep in my chest. Oh! What is this? Why do I feel sad? Normally Rod's distance does not make me feel like this. Because you love him! And yet now, am I really so sad that he does not want to speak with me? I shake my head and take a deep breath to still my mind. It is better not to think about it. Hey! Nice. The ball. Chapter 8, the ball. It is the day of the ball, and I am waiting for Emmeline to finish her last dance rehearsal. The lesson was over an hour ago, but Emmeline remains here to continue practicing the steps. Meanwhile, I am preoccupied with thoughts of Rod's curse. I cannot believe that Rod traded his voice for a title, so the reason the king was able to find Ophelia was because of Rod. It is a little difficult to wrap my head around the implications, but one thing bothers me. Rod told me why he has the curse, but he gave no explanation as to how to break it. How did it go in the original fairy tale? Emmeline finishes up the last steps of her routine before walking over to me. I hand her the glass of water I was holding for her.
Thank you, Jaybird.
Emmeline must notice my curiosity because she stops to look at me quizzically.
Is something the matter?
I read a little bit of that fairy tale but never finished it. Can you tell me the whole story of the Little Mermaid?
The Little Mermaid?
Emmeline takes a seat on one of the chairs bordering the throne room and gestures for me to take the one opposite her.
Telling a fairy tale is always a good way to wind down. Once upon a time, there was a mermaid that fell in love with a handsome prince. One day when she swam to the surface of the ocean to find him, she saw that the prince was celebrating his birthday on the grandest ship in the kingdom. The Little Mermaid was captivated by the human party and stayed to watch. Then suddenly, a violent storm hit and the prince was thrown from the ship into the ocean. The Little Mermaid saved the prince and took him safely to shore, but she could not stay long. She eventually had to return to the ocean and leave him on land.
This is similar to Viorica's rescue.
The Little Mermaid was so in love with the prince that she went to see a witch who offered to trade her a potion that would turn her mermaid's tail into legs.
they struck a deal. The mermaid would sacrifice her beautiful voice for her legs so that she could live with the prince on land.
So in Rod's case, he traded away his voice to become a prince. Oh my god. Goodbye, voice. I'm gonna miss you.
However, the sea witch gave the little mermaid a little warning and said that if she wasn't able to make the prince fall in love with her, there would be consequences.
Consequences?
Yes, namely, if the prince fell in love and married someone else, the mermaid's heart would break and she would dissolve into sea foam.
Nutty! I cannot help but recoil. My expression must betray my horror because Emmeline quickly shakes her head.
There is no need to be worried. Rana said that his curse is different from the fairy tale.
And do you believe him? Emmeline shrugs helplessly as she puts down her now empty glass of water.
The fairy tale curse always twists the original fairy tale, right? Besides, it's not as if Rod traded his voice for legs. And I've never heard of a cursed person that dies because they cannot break the curse.
That may be true, but Emmeline does not know what Rod traded his voice for. She does not know that he did it to become a prince for Viorica. Rod is already hiding things from her. Is it possible that Rod will die the day Viorica marries Desmond? I thought it was Desimond. Okay. Well, interesting. Oh, I can see it now. Oh, that's good. That's good. I appreciate that. See, I like this visual novel very much. I like this dating sim. It's really good. Because I'm gonna say it right now, I think every route is gonna be especially different, have a different story for it. Which I really appreciate because that adds more to the replay value. But anyways, later that day I find Rod in the dining hall. He appears to be inspecting the seating arrangements for the night's banquet. Glances up briefly to look at me before returning his attention to the placards with the guests' names on them. Sorry. What is it? I have been looking for you all morning. I am distracted from what I am about to say when I notice Rod switching the position of two placards. I frown as I catch the name on one of them. He's moving Viorica's place at the table. Is he trying to make sure she sits as far away from him as possible? Surely you have better things to do than stay in here. What happens if you cannot break your curse? Rod's movements stutter before he shakes his head sharply. That is something you do not need to know. Get angry at him, plead with him. I'm supposed to plead with him. Yep, I'm supposed to plead with him. Something aches deep in my chest at Rod's coldness. Please. Rod startles so strongly that he almost drops the placard he's holding. Please tell me. We have been partners for months now. But I've barely... Yes, I know that it is an unusual partnership and that most of our helping each other has been subtle, but... I am only one good deed away from breaking my curse, while you seem to be no closer to breaking your curse than when we started. I will do whatever I can to help you with your curse, Rod. So please let me help you. Aww. Silence falls. Moments later, Rod sighs and looks away from me. Some unspeakably sad emotion shines through his eyes. Even if I wanted your help, Jaybird, there's nothing you can do. Dread settles in the pit of my stomach at Rod's words. Could I be right? Will Rod actually die if he does not manage to break his curse? Emmeline told me the story of the Little Mermaid. She said that the mermaid dies if the prince marries someone else. Rod, when Viorica marries Desmond... See! They changed the name again! What? It was Desmond a few words ago! A few sentences ago! And now it's Desmond again! Inconsistencies! Whatever. Will you... My voice trails off when I hear the sound of the door behind us. Is it Ophelia or the king? Rod rushes forward and grabs me before I can glance back at the door. Ow! I become aware of a weight holding me down to the floor. The impact of the ground against my head blurs my vision, making it impossible for me to see what is happening at first. Am I underneath the dining table? I struggle to try and sit up, but the weight pushes down on me again, forcing me to be still. Quiet. Rod, why did he push me underneath the table? I am about to ask him aloud when the sound of footsteps silences me. I cannot help but remember what Sir Mithras was saying about rumors. If Rod and I were seen alone together by the servants, the rumors will no doubt get worse. But why is Rod doing this? I stay quiet as possible. I stay quiet as the people that enter the dining hall begin to speak. Talk. How strange for this place to be empty at this time of day. There's a pause, and then another voice speaks up. You better have good news for me, Mithras. Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras? Rod's hands tighten on my shoulders. Everything is as you requested, Sir Alcaster. There should be no issues. There better not be. You've disappointed me before, Mithras. I would be careful not to try my patience again. Yes, Sir Alcaster. Sir Mithras sounds oddly subservient. But why? The two of them are both ranked equally, and neither of them should have to answer to anyone other than the king. Unless Sir Alcaster truly is the witch and is forcing Sir Mithras to obey him with a spell. Wait a few minutes after I leave. We should not be seen together. I do not hear Sir Mithras respond, but I can hear Sir Alcaster leaving the room. Sir Mithras sighs out, but is otherwise silent when he leaves the room after a few moments. I exhale fully as the door finally closes behind Sir Mithras. This is bad. I was so engrossed in Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras' conversation that I only just now realized that Rod is hovering over me. Ah! Well, hello there, you beautiful, beautiful boy. Don't mind me. I'm gonna just, do my thing here. This is just how I do. This is what I live for. This is what makes me wake up in the morning. This beautiful, beautiful boy. My beautiful, blushing baby boy. Just a beautiful boy. Hey, are you alright? Yes! Are you hurt? You look a little... Rod suddenly pauses as he notices our positions. He stares at me for a few moments, eyes wide. Yeah, that's me too. He scrambles out from underneath the dining table, and by the time I do the same, he is standing far away from me, his gaze fixed on the wall. He is bright red. It would be funny if I weren't sure it was the same color. Rod clears his throat. It seems that Sir Alcaster really is the witch if he has the ability to make Sir Mithras obey him. Lady Parfait should be told immediately. Rod turns on his heel to leave the dining room. Rod, wait. What? This is urgent, princess. I can't just... When Viorica marries Desmond, will you die? Rod pauses for a moment, but I can tell from his pained expression that he will not speak.
You're running out of time, Rod.
My eyes flit between Sebby and Rod. What does that mean? Nothing. He turns away from me once again and starts walking away. Rod, There must be something in my voice that makes Rod stop, because he turns to look at me. Please stop running away from this. What would knowing the answer achieve, Jaybird? Though Rod's words are harsh, his tone is soft. There's nothing anyone can do. Leave it alone, Jaybird. It's for the best. I cannot help but get mad at Rod's dismissive tone. I move toward him, frowning. How can you say something like that? You're not the only person that will be affected if you keep refusing to do anything to break your curse. Can you imagine what your death would do to your sister? To your mother? Losing you would destroy them! Rod's face is suddenly inches away from mine. He places his hands to the wall behind me, caging me in. His face is flushed with anger, but the look in his eyes is tormented. My family has been dealing with the consequences of my actions for the majority of my life. Don't think that I don't know what effect my curse has on the people closest to me. Besides, I don't want to involve you in this too. His voice is a whisper, but I can still hear his words. Rod pushes away from me and stalks off as I stare after him. He says that, but then he still does nothing to try and break his curse. I do not understand him at all. What is stopping him? We will never know. At least I don't think so. Rod is absent from the palace for the rest of the day and returns only once the sun has set to prepare for the ball. I have not been able to talk to him since, but I assume that he has been to the merchant to tell Delora and Parfait about our suspicions of Sir Alcaster being a witch. I hope they come up with an effective plan for dealing with him. The palace is not safe so long as he is here. The ball is just about to start that evening, and I have been asked to make sure none of the guests are lost in wandering the hallways. I have been walking around for a while, directing any late guards in the right direction. That should be everyone. But as I turn the corner, I notice two people lingering by a column. Excuse me, the throne room is... I pause when I look more closely at the two men in front of me. I recognize one of them instantly. That's Fritz. But with black hair. What is Sir Alcaster doing outside of the throne room? And who is that man he's with? Oh, Jaybird. Sir Alcaster gestures me toward him and I approach warily.
This is Varg. He is one of the guests for the ball.
Yeah, Varg, Fritz, same difference. Varg sweeps aside his cape as he bows, and I curtsy and dip my head to hide my expression. Hide my expression. I've not heard of a Varg. And why would he be bowing to a mere maid? Also... why is he wearing such an elaborate costume and mask? This is not a masquerade ball. If Varg is an acquaintance of Sir Alcaster, there's no telling what or who he truly is.
Varg is one of the suitors for Princess Emmeline. Would you please escort him to the throne room? I will be along shortly.
Varg's politeness is even more suspicious. Of course, Sir Alcaster. I meet Varg's gaze briefly and cannot help but frown at the way he is smirking at me. This way. Varg and I make our way toward the throne room. I cannot help but feel wary of the fact that he is falling behind me where I cannot see him. If the maids are this lovely, the princess must be truly beautiful. Varg laughs and I grit my teeth at the sound. What? I meant it as a compliment. There's no need to look at me like that. Varg looks at me curiously. Are maids not allowed to speak in this place? I have nothing to say. Not the most cheerful person on staff, are you? Thankfully, the doors to the throne room appear as soon as we turn a corner, and I do not have to come up with a response to words. We are here. I gesture toward the throne room and move to leave, but Varg's voice stops me. You should at the very least escort me inside and introduce me to the princess, don't you think? Isn't that what a maid should do? Technically, this is the announcer's job. That is the announcer's job. But Varg came so late, he probably already missed the introductions. I wouldn't want to think badly of any of the servants at the palace. I take a deep breath to calm myself before turning toward the doors. Follow me. I can tell the moment I step into the room that the official introductions have already passed. Most of the guests have already begun to mingle and scatter across the throne room as the band sets up. No one notices when I walk into the throne room in front of Varg. I do not trust Varg, not if he is associated with Sir Alcaster. I might have to warn someone about him until he is while he's distracted, but who? Warn Emmeline. We gotta warn Emmeline, not warn Rod. We gotta warn Emmeline. My attention is quickly drawn to where Emmeline is moving between groups of people, introducing herself and making light conversation. I know this will be frowned upon, but Emmeline's safety must come first. I make my way quickly over to Emmeline and curtsy just off to the side, trying to draw as little attention to myself as possible. Princess Emmeline, may I have a word? Emmeline is clearly shocked at my intrusion, but she masks it well.
Excuse me, it appears my maid has something for me.
I draw her closer to the walls where the crowd blocks us from view.
I wasn't expecting you to be here, Jaybird. Not that I mind, but won't you get into trouble?
There's no time for that. I take her hand in mine and look at her somberly. You have to watch out for this man in a mask. Sir Alcaster brought him to the ball.
Why should I be worried then?
I cannot exactly tell her that I think he is a witch right now. There are too many people looking. Just please be wary of him.
I'm sure there's nothing to be afraid about from anyone here, Jaybird. Especially if Sir Alcaster is involved.
On the contrary, if Sir Alcaster is involved, I would also recommend staying on your guard, Emmeline.
Rod?
I turn in shock to see Rod suddenly standing behind me. Beside me. What did it say? Beside me. Okay. Yeah. I like how it has to do that again. That's great. You should trust Jaybird. Excuse me. I jump back at the sound of Varg's voice. Rod takes a step forward and places hands on my shoulders to steady me. I don't believe we've been introduced. Varg looks at me for a few moments, but I say nothing. He eventually turns to Emmeline, a wolfish smile on his face. My name is Varg. You and you must be Princess Emmeline. The tales of your beauty did not do you justice. Emmeline flushes at Varg. As Varg reaches for her hand, he presses a kiss to the back of it, still grinning. I can feel Rod tense behind me. May I have the first dance? Emmeline bites down on her lower lip as she stares at him. I become acutely aware of just how quiet the throne room has become. She cannot refuse him with so many people watching her. I feel sick, but cannot bring myself to say anything more as Emmeline puts her hand in Varg's. Oh,
Exit Lord Varg!
Lord Varg. Lord Vargwad! Ah! The moment Emmeline makes her way to the center of the dance floor, a man signals to the band and the musicians start playing. This feels wrong. And no, it does! I can only nod as I watch Varg pull Emmeline closer. At first it is just he and Emmeline dancing, but then other couples gradually trickle in to join them. I do not like this at all. Rod and I watch in silence as the first dance continues on. I know for a fact that Rod must see the dreamy smile on Emmeline's face as certainly as I can. When the music stops, both of us move as one toward Emmeline. Even though the dance is over and Varg has released her, they still stand close together in the center of the room. The silence is interrupted when the double doors open and Sir Alcaster, along with two knights, stalk into the center of the room where Emmeline and Varg stand. Oh, well, this is just getting too interesting, and that means I had to end the episode right here. So, I'm sorry, it's bad timing, but I don't care. I feel like it's better to save this for next episode. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Cinderella Phenomenon, leave a like down below, leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, ring that notification bell, and remember, die safely. Bye-bye!